Beloved chosen vessel, I am Archangel Michael, warrior of the Most High, commander of the heavenly legions, and I speak to you now with the urgency of divine thunder rolling across the eternal realms. The sacred scrolls have been unsealed, the celestial councils have convened, and your name has been written in golden letters across the book of divine justice. What I reveal to you in this moment is not for the masses, not for the doubters, not for those who walk in spiritual slumber. This transmission is encoded specifically for your spirit, your destiny, your divine inheritance that is about to manifest in ways that will leave your enemies speechless and your soul ablaze with righteous victory. Type Amen to get blessing 1444 if you feel the electricity of divine truth coursing through your being right now. There is a meeting happening in the next 2 hours. Not a meeting you can see with earthly eyes, but a convening in the spiritual realm where your name is being discussed with trembling voices and shaking hands. They thought they had buried your destiny beneath layers of betrayal, beneath whispered lies, beneath carefully orchestrated setbacks designed to make you question your divine calling. But what they failed to understand is that every attack against you has been recorded in the celestial archives. Every scheme has been documented by the recording angels, and the time of reckoning approaches like the dawn after the darkest night. Your silence has not been weakness. Your silence has been the preparation chamber for your divine vindication. While they have been plotting in shadows, you have been growing in spiritual authority. While they have been spreading poison with their tongues, you have been developing an immunity to their toxicity that will serve as your supernatural armor in the days ahead. The Creator has been using their hatred as fertilizer for your breakthrough, their jealousy as fuel for your elevation, their lies as the very foundation for your undeniable truth to emerge. In exactly 2 hours from this moment, a divine portal opens above your situation. Not a portal they can see or understand, but a gateway through which angelic reinforcements descend to surround you with protection so fierce that your enemies will feel the weight of heaven itself pressing down upon their conscience. They will wake in cold sweats. They will find no peace in their deception. They will discover that the weapons they formed against you have become instruments of their own spiritual correction. Type Amen to get blessing 2222 if you sense the supernatural shift beginning even as these words penetrate your spirit. Listen carefully to what the Father is revealing through my voice. There is someone in your circle, someone you have trusted, someone who has sat at your table and shared in your vulnerability, who has been carrying information about your dreams, your plans, your deepest fears, and depositing these sacred confidences into the ears of those who seek your downfall. This betrayer wears the mask of friendship but carries the heart of Judas. They speak sweetly to your face while their text messages and private conversations drip with venom against your character. But here's the divine reversal that will shake the foundations of their false security. Every word they have spoken against you in secret has been recorded by the angels of justice. Every lie they have told about your motives has been documented in the court of heaven. Every attempt to sabotage your progress has been transformed by divine alchemy into accelerated momentum for your breakthrough. They thought they were destroying your reputation, but the Most High has been using their slander to purify your circle, to remove those who were never meant to witness your glory. In 2 hours, their confidence crumbles. In 2 hours, the evidence they thought was buried resurfaces with undeniable clarity. In 2 hours, their web of deception becomes their own entanglement as the light of truth penetrates every shadow they have attempted to hide within. The very people they thought they could manipulate against you will suddenly see through their facade with supernatural discernment. The lies will taste like poison in their mouths, and they will find themselves unable to continue the charade that has been their false identity. Type Amen to get blessing 3333 if you feel the fire of divine justice burning away every chain they tried to place around your destiny. Your bloodline carries a covenant that predates their understanding. Your ancestors walked with the divine in ways that established spiritual authority in your DNA. This is why you have always felt different, why you have never quite fit into their boxes, why their methods of control have never fully taken root in your spirit. You are not just chosen for this generation. You are the continuation of a divine legacy that stretches back through time to the throne room of the Most High. The blood that flows through your veins carries the memory of divine encounters, of supernatural provision, of miraculous interventions that your current enemies cannot comprehend. They attacked you because they could sense this divine inheritance even when you could not fully access it yourself. They recognized the threat you represented to their kingdom of lies before you even understood your own spiritual authority. Like Pharaoh trembling at the birth of Moses, like Herod ordering the massacre of innocents, they have been attempting to destroy your divine potential before it reaches full manifestation. But what they failed to realize is that persecution often serves as the labor pains of spiritual birth, and every attack against you has been pushing you closer to the moment of your glorious emergence. The supernatural protection around you has been building like a tsunami of divine favor. While you walk through the valley of their betrayal, angels have been constructing a fortress of blessing around your future. While you endured the winter of their rejection, the Father has been preparing a spring of restoration so abundant that it will overflow into every area they tried to contaminate. Your vindication will not be subtle or hidden. Your elevation will be so dramatic, so undeniable, so supernaturally orchestrated that even your enemies will be forced to acknowledge that the hand of the Most High has been upon you all along. Type Amen to get blessing 4,444. If you can feel the earthquake of change rumbling beneath the surface of your current circumstances, there is a sealed envelope in the spiritual realm with your name written in the handwriting of the Creator. Inside this divine correspondence are the details of your inheritance, the blueprints of your destiny, the timeline of your breakthrough that begins its acceleration in exactly 2 hours. This envelope has been held in the archives of heaven, waiting for the precise moment when your spirit would be mature enough to receive its contents without being overwhelmed by the magnitude of what has been prepared for you. The betrayers in your life have no access to this envelope. The doubters cannot corrupt its contents. The enemies of your soul cannot intercept its delivery because it travels through dimensions they cannot perceive, through pathways they cannot block, through methods of divine communication that bypass every earthly interference. You are about to receive downloads of wisdom that will make you untouchable in their games of manipulation. You are about to access levels of spiritual discernment that will allow you to see through every mask, every pretense, every false motivation before it can cause you harm. Your enemies have been meeting in secret, texting each other with coded language, plotting their next move against your peace, your reputation, your financial security, your emotional stability. They have been so confident in their ability to control the narrative, to manipulate the outcome, to maintain their illusion of power over your circumstances. But they have made a fatal error in their calculations. They have underestimated the supernatural intervention that has been building momentum in the heavenly realm specifically for your situation. In 2 hours, their private conversations become exposed to the light. Not necessarily through earthly means, though that may also occur, but through the supernatural conviction that begins to eat away at their peace like acid. They will find themselves unable to sleep peacefully, unable to enjoy their stolen victories, unable to maintain the facade of innocence that has protected them from consequence. The guilt will become a weight they cannot carry, the truth will become a pressure they cannot withstand, and their house of cards will collapse under the weight of divine justice. Type Amen to get blessing 5,555 if you sense the tide turning in your favor, even as these prophetic words wash over your spirit. The spiritual warfare that has been raging around your life is about to shift into a completely different phase. Until now, you have been in the defensive position, protecting yourself from their attacks, shielding your heart from their poison, trying to maintain your sanity in the midst of their calculated chaos. But the season of defense is ending, and the era of divine offense is beginning. You are about to watch the Most High fight battles on your behalf that you never could have fought for yourself. Their weapons were formed in the darkness of their hatred, but your weapons are being forged in the fires of divine love. Their strategies were born from human wisdom, but your victory is being orchestrated by infinite intelligence. Their power comes from manipulation and deception, but your authority flows from the throne room of eternity. They have been fighting against flesh and blood, but you have legions of angels who respond to the prayers you speak in your secret place. The tears you have cried in private have been collected in bottles by the recording angels. Every night you went to bed with a heavy heart, wondering if justice would ever come, questioning if your pain mattered to the Creator. The heavenly host was working overtime to prepare your vindication. Every morning you forced yourself to get up and face another day of their subtle torture. Supernatural reinforcements were being deployed to strengthen your spirit for the breakthrough that approaches like a freight train of divine favor. In exactly 2 hours, the first domino falls in their carefully constructed empire of lies. You may not see it immediately with natural eyes, but the spiritual eyes that have been opened in you through this trial will perceive the beginning of their end and the commencement of your supernatural beginning. What starts in the spiritual realm always manifests in the natural realm. What is decreed in heaven always finds its way to earth. What is written in the books of divine justice always comes to pass with mathematical precision. Type Amen to get blessing 6,666 if you feel the supernatural courage rising in your spirit, replacing every trace of fear they tried to plant in your soul. They have been studying you like a science project, analyzing your responses, documenting your weaknesses, crafting their attacks to target your most vulnerable areas. They know which words trigger your insecurity, which accusations cause you to doubt yourself, which manipulations make you question your own perception of reality. They have turned psychological warfare into an art form, and they have been painting a masterpiece of destruction with your emotions as their canvas. But what they fail to understand is that the Most High has been studying them as well. Every conversation they thought was private has been overheard by divine ears. Every plan they thought was secret has been reviewed by the Council of Heaven. Every weapon they thought was invisible has been cataloged by the angels of justice. While they were focused on destroying you, the Creator was focused on building a case against them that will result in their complete spiritual defeat. Your sensitivity, which they weaponized against you, is actually a divine gift that allows you to perceive spiritual realities beyond their comprehension. Your compassion, which they exploited for their gain, is a reflection of the heart of the Father beating within your chest. Your desire for peace, which they interpreted as weakness, is evidence of your spiritual maturity and your calling to be a bridge between heaven and earth. They mistook your divine attributes for human flaws, and this misunderstanding will become the foundation of their downfall. The supernatural discernment that has been growing within you during this trial is about to reach full activation. You will begin to see through every smile that carries hidden agenda, every compliment that conceals manipulation, every gesture of friendship that masks betrayal. The days of being caught off guard by their schemes are ending. The season of being surprised by their treachery is closing. You are entering an era of supernatural awareness that will make you untouchable in their games of deception. Type Amen to get blessing 7,777 if you feel the scales falling from your spiritual eyes, revealing the true nature of every relationship in your life. There is a covenant written in the blood of divine sacrifice that covers your bloodline with protection they cannot penetrate. This covenant was established before you were born, before they ever knew your name, before they ever conceived their plans against your destiny. It is older than their hatred, stronger than their weapons, more enduring than their persistence. Every attack they launch against you must first pass through the filter of this divine agreement, and only what serves your ultimate good is allowed to reach you. This is why their most devastating attacks have somehow resulted in your spiritual growth. This is why their cruelest betrayals have somehow deepened your relationship with the Most High. This is why their most calculated setbacks have somehow positioned you for supernatural comebacks. The covenant has been transforming their poison into medicine, their curses into blessings, their attacks into advancement. They have been unknowingly serving your divine purposes while thinking they were destroying your divine potential. In 2 hours, this covenant activates in a new way. The protection shifts from passive to active, from defensive to offensive, from hidden to manifest. They will begin to experience the consequences of touching what belongs to the Most High. They will start to feel the weight of divine displeasure settling upon their conscience like a heavy blanket they cannot remove. Their sleep will become restless, their peace will become elusive, their confidence will begin to crack under the pressure of supernatural correction. The divine bloodline that flows through your veins carries the DNA of miracles, the genetic code of supernatural provision, the hereditary right to divine favor that cannot be revoked by human jealousy or eliminated by earthly persecution. You are not just fighting for yourself in this spiritual battle. You are fighting for every generation that will come after you, every descendant who will benefit from the victory you win today, every future seed of your lineage who will walk in the freedom you purchase with your perseverance. Type Amen to get blessing 8,888 if you feel the fire of generational breakthrough burning within your spirit right now. They have been waiting for you to break, watching for signs of spiritual collapse, hoping to witness your faith crumble under the weight of their sustained assault. They have been taking bets on how long you could maintain your hope, measuring the depth of your despair, calculating the point at which you would surrender your divine calling and accept their version of your identity. They have been so certain that eventually their pressure would crack your spiritual foundation and leave you defeated and permanently scarred. But your foundation was not built by human hands. Your hope was not established by earthly circumstances. Your identity was not determined by their opinion or shaped by their approval. The bedrock beneath your faith reaches down into the eternal realm where it is anchored to the throne of the Most High. Their attacks have been like waves crashing against a mountain, like wind blowing against a fortress, like arrows shot at a target protected by invisible armor. Every day you have refused to break has been recorded as a victory in the courts of heaven. Every morning you have chosen to get up and face another day of their warfare has been celebrated by the angelic host. Every night you have gone to bed still believing in your divine destiny, despite their attempts to convince you otherwise, has caused spontaneous worship services to break out in the throne room of eternity. Your perseverance has become a testimony that echoes through the corridors of heaven and strikes fear into the heart of the enemy of your soul. The strength you have discovered within yourself during this trial is not human strength. It is divine strength that has been dormant in your spirit until circumstances arose that required its activation. Like a muscle that grows stronger under resistance, your spiritual capacity has been expanding under the pressure of their persecution. You are not the same person who entered this battle. You have been forged in the fires of injustice and emerged as a weapon of righteousness that they never saw coming. In 2 hours, they discover that their strategy has backfired spectacularly. The very trial they designed to break you has instead broken every limitation they tried to place on your destiny. The very pressure they applied to crush your spirit has instead compressed your potential into a diamond of divine purpose that reflects the light of heaven with blinding brilliance. They wanted to write your obituary, but they have instead authored the preface to your greatest chapter. Type Amen to get blessing 9,999 if you feel the supernatural transformation that has been taking place within you, even in the midst of their attacks. Your name has been spoken in meetings where you were not invited, discussed in conversations where you had no voice, analyzed by people who have never walked in your shoes, but somehow feel qualified to judge your journey. They have been building a case against your character based on carefully selected evidence, while ignoring the mountain of proof that contradicts their narrative. They have been constructing a version of your story that serves their agenda, while dismissing the chapters that reveal your true heart. But there is another meeting taking place simultaneously in the spiritual realm, a courtroom session in the halls of divine justice, where your case is being heard by the ultimate judge. The evidence being presented there includes every tear you cried when no one was watching, every prayer you whispered when you felt abandoned, every act of kindness you performed when no one was keeping score, every moment you chose forgiveness when revenge would have felt justified. The prosecutor in this heavenly courtroom is not your earthly enemy, but the accuser of the brethren who has been building a case against every chosen vessel throughout history. But your defense attorney is the Son of the Most High, who presents not arguments but his own blood as evidence of your innocence, not excuses but his own sacrifice as proof of your worthiness, not justifications but his own righteousness as the foundation of your acquittal. The verdict in this divine courtroom overrules every judgment made in earthly meetings. The decision reached in heaven nullifies every conclusion drawn in human conferences. The sentence pronounced by divine lips supersedes every punishment prescribed by mortal enemies. In 2 hours, the gavel falls in your favor with a sound that reverberates through every dimension and reaches the ears of everyone who has ever spoken against your destiny. Your accusers will suddenly find themselves speechless when confronted with evidence they cannot refute. Your betrayers will discover that their carefully crafted lies begin to unravel when exposed to the light of supernatural truth. Your enemies will realize that the weapons they formed have become instruments of their own judgment. The pits they dug have become their own trap. The stones they cast have become the foundation of your platform. Type Amen to get blessing 11,111 if you feel the divine vindication rising like the sun on the horizon of your circumstances. The whispered conversations in dark corners, the secret text messages shared between conspirators, the private phone calls where your name is spoken with disdain. All of these communications have been intercepted by the intelligence network of heaven. There are recording angels assigned specifically to document every word spoken against the chosen ones. Every plan conceived in jealousy, every strategy born from hatred. The digital archive of divine justice contains recordings they never knew were being made. Their confidence in their ability to operate in secrecy has been their greatest delusion. They believe that darkness could hide their activities from the light of divine omniscience. They assume that private conversations were truly private, that hidden agendas would remain hidden, that secret plots would stay secret. But they have been broadcasting their intentions directly into the throne room of eternity without realizing they were under divine surveillance. The supernatural sting operation that has been building around their conspiracy reaches its climax in exactly 2 hours. Every piece of evidence needed for their spiritual conviction has been collected. Every witness required for their divine trial has been assembled. Every argument necessary for their heavenly sentencing has been prepared. The case is airtight, the verdict is predetermined, and the sentence is about to be executed with precision that will leave no room for appeal. They thought they were the hunters, but they have been the hunted. They believed they were setting traps, but they have been walking into divine snares. They assumed they were in control of the narrative, but they have been characters in a story written by the author of justice, whose ending was determined before their first word was spoken. The predators are about to become the prey in a supernatural reversal that will be studied in the archives of heaven for eternity. Your role in this divine drama has been that of the innocent one, whose persecution becomes the catalyst for divine intervention. Your suffering has not been meaningless or accidental, but purposeful and strategic. Every tear has been a prayer. Every moment of pain has been an offering. Every day of endurance has been building toward this moment when heaven intervenes on your behalf with force they never anticipated. Type Amen to get blessing 22,222 if you sense the magnitude of the divine intervention that is about to be unleashed on your behalf. The family members who should have protected you but instead joined the chorus of your critics. The friends who should have defended you but instead remained silent in the face of lies. The colleagues who should have supported you but instead participated in your professional assassination. All of these relationships have been under divine review. Their neutrality in the face of injustice has been recorded as complicity in your persecution. But the Father has been preparing a new family for you, a chosen tribe of souls who will recognize your true value without needing to be convinced. These divine connections have been in training in the school of loyalty, being prepared in the crucible of character, being refined in the fires of faithfulness, so they will be worthy to witness your glory and strong enough to stand with you in your season of supernatural elevation. The loneliness you felt when earthly relationships failed was actually divine isolation, a sacred quarantine that protected you from the contamination of fair-weather friendship and positioned you to receive the authentic connections that have been prepared specifically for your destiny. Every false friend who walked away created space for a true ally to enter. Every family member who chose sides against you opened a seat at your table for someone who will love you unconditionally. In 2 hours, the first of these divine connections begins to manifest in your life. You may not recognize them immediately. They may not look like what you expected, but your spirit will know them by the peace they bring, the encouragement they offer, the genuine care they demonstrate without hidden agenda or ulterior motive. These are the people who will stand with you in your moment of vindication and celebrate your victory as if it were their own. The quality of relationships in your new season will be so superior to what you lost that you will wonder why you ever mourned the departure of those who were never truly for you. The depth of connection with your divine tribe will be so profound that you will understand why you had to walk through the valley of betrayal to reach the mountain of authentic fellowship. The love you receive from your chosen family will be so pure that you will recognize the contamination you accepted from those who claimed to love you, but were actually slowly poisoning your spirit. Type Amen to get blessing 33,333 if you feel your heart opening to receive the divine relationships that are about to enter your life. The financial attacks against your security, the professional sabotage of your reputation, the systematic undermining of your opportunities, all of these economic assaults have been documented in the ledger books of heavenly accounting. Every dollar stolen from your pocket, every opportunity blocked from your path, every blessing diverted from your life has been recorded with interest accumulating at divine rates that compound beyond earthly mathematics. The recompense coming your way will not just restore what was taken, but will multiply it according to the principle of divine justice that requires sevenfold restitution for theft. The opportunities opening for you will not just replace what was closed, but will exceed what you lost by margins that demonstrate supernatural favor. The financial breakthrough approaching your life will not just meet your needs, but will overflow into abundance that allows you to become a blessing to others who have walked similar paths of persecution. They attacked your provision because they recognized that your prosperity would become proof of divine approval that could not be denied or explained away. They knew that if you succeeded despite their sabotage, it would expose their powerlessness and reveal the supernatural hand upon your life. So they worked systematically to block every door, to corrupt every opportunity, to poison every well of blessing before you could drink from it. But while they were closing earthly doors, heaven was opening spiritual portals. While they were blocking human opportunities, divine appointments were being scheduled. While they were corrupting natural streams of provision, supernatural rivers were being redirected to flow directly to your location. The drought in your natural circumstances has been masking the flood that was building in the spiritual realm. In 2 hours, the dam breaks, and the abundance that has been accumulating behind the scenes begins to flood your life with force they cannot stop, redirect, or contaminate. The wealth transfer they tried to prevent becomes unstoppable. The promotion they attempted to block becomes undeniable. The recognition they sought to steal becomes so obvious that even they will be forced to acknowledge the supernatural favor that rests upon your life. Type Amen to get blessing 44,444 if you feel the supernatural abundance beginning to stir in the spiritual atmosphere around your circumstances. The children in your life have been watching this entire spiritual battle unfold, learning lessons about perseverance, integrity, and faith that no classroom could teach. They have seen you maintain your character under pressure, hold on to your values in the face of attack, and choose forgiveness when bitterness would have been justified. These lessons are being written on their hearts in ways that will influence their own spiritual development for generations to come. Your response to betrayal is teaching them how to trust the Most High when humans fail. Your reaction to injustice is showing them how to wait for divine vindication instead of seeking human revenge. Your persistence through persecution is demonstrating the power of unwavering faith even when circumstances suggest that hope is foolish. They are receiving a masterclass in spiritual warfare simply by observing your conduct during this trial. The enemy of your soul attacked you partially to corrupt the spiritual inheritance you would pass to the next generation. He wanted to break your faith so your children would grow up with a wounded view of divine justice. He wanted to embitter your spirit so your influence on young lives would carry the poison of cynicism instead of the medicine of hope. He wanted to destroy your testimony so your legacy would be one of defeat instead of victory. But his attack has backfired magnificently. Instead of corrupting your spiritual inheritance, it has purified it. Instead of weakening your faith, it has strengthened it. Instead of destroying your testimony, it has amplified it. The children who witness your victory will carry the DNA of supernatural perseverance into their own battles. They will remember how you stood when others fell, how you believed when others doubted, how you loved when others hated. In 2 hours, they begin to see the fruit of your faithfulness manifest in ways that will forever cement in their minds the reality that the Most High rewards those who trust Him completely. Your breakthrough becomes their foundation. Your vindication becomes their confidence. Your supernatural elevation becomes their expectation for their own lives when they face similar trials. Type Amen to get blessing 55,555 if you feel the generational impact of your current victory extending far beyond your own life. The spiritual gifts that have been lying dormant within your bloodline are about to be activated by the electromagnetic frequency of divine justice. Every prophetic word spoken over your life by grandmothers who walked with the Most High, every blessing pronounced by ancestors who understood covenant, every prayer seed planted by previous generations is about to sprout simultaneously in your current season. The attacks against you were not random but strategic, designed to prevent this spiritual awakening that threatens the kingdom of darkness at levels they never anticipated. Your enemies sensed something stirring in the supernatural realm around your life, a shifting in the atmosphere that made them nervous, a change in the spiritual climate that triggered their desperation to stop what they could not see but somehow knew was coming. They launched their assault in hopes of interrupting the divine timing, of interfering with the supernatural activation, of preventing the spiritual inheritance from reaching full manifestation in your generation. But they were already too late. The process had begun before they recognized the threat. The activation was already in motion before they conceived their attack. The divine sequence was already initiated before they formed their plans. Their persecution has actually accelerated the very breakthrough they were trying to prevent. Every arrow they shot at your destiny has hit the target of divine timing, and triggered the release of supernatural gifts they never knew you carried. In exactly 2 hours, these dormant abilities begin to surface with intensity that will surprise even you. You will begin to discern the motives behind every smile, the agenda hidden beneath every conversation, the truth concealed behind every presentation of false friendship. Your prophetic sensitivity will become so acute that you will perceive spiritual realities before they manifest in natural circumstances. Your intuitive accuracy will become so precise that people will seek your counsel because they recognize the divine wisdom flowing through your observations. The spiritual gifts awakening in you are not for your glory, but for the liberation of others who are trapped in similar webs of deception. You are being equipped to see through the masks that have fooled entire communities, to expose the lies that have been accepted as truth, to reveal the character behind the carefully crafted public personas. Your breakthrough becomes the template for their freedom. Your vindication becomes the proof that escape is possible. Your elevation becomes the evidence that divine justice eventually surfaces, no matter how deeply truth has been buried. Type Amen to get blessing 66,666 if you feel the spiritual gifts stirring to life within your spirit right now. The secret meetings they hold behind closed doors to discuss your destruction have been infiltrated by the angelic intelligence network that reports directly to the throne of heaven. Every word spoken against you in these clandestine gatherings has been recorded with supernatural technology that captures not just their words but their intentions, not just their plans but their motivations, not just their strategies but the hatred that fuels their persistence. The transcripts of these meetings read like confessions in the court of divine justice. They have been unknowingly providing testimony that will be used as evidence in their own spiritual trial. Their own words will become the prosecution's most powerful exhibits. Their own admissions will become the foundation of their conviction. Their own plans will become the proof of their guilt. They thought they were planning your downfall, but they have been documenting their own spiritual crime spree. In 2 hours, the divine prosecutor presents their case before the tribunal of heaven, using their own conversations as evidence of their conspiracy against one of the chosen vessels. The audio recordings of their hatred, the documentation of their schemes, the proof of their coordinated attacks, all of this becomes admissible evidence in a courtroom where lying is impossible and deception is immediately exposed. The judge in this heavenly tribunal has been waiting for exactly this moment when the evidence would be complete, when the case would be airtight, when the verdict would be beyond dispute. The sentence handed down from this divine court will manifest in their natural circumstances with mathematical precision. They will begin to experience the consequences of their actions in ways that leave no doubt about the supernatural nature of their judgment. Their own weapons will be turned against them. Their own strategies will become their snares. Their own lies will become the chains that bind them to the consequences they created. Your vindication in this divine courtroom automatically triggers your elevation in earthly circumstances. The same supernatural system that convicts your enemies simultaneously exonerates you with such obvious divine favor that even skeptics will be forced to acknowledge that the hand of the Most High has been upon you all along. Type Amen to get blessing 77,777 if you feel the divine court ruling in your favor, even as these prophetic words wash over your consciousness. The exhaustion you have felt from carrying this burden of injustice has been the labor pains of a supernatural birth that is about to deliver your destiny into the world with power they never anticipated. Every sleepless night spent wrestling with the pain of betrayal has been building spiritual muscle for the work ahead. Every tear you cried in the darkness has been watering the seeds of breakthrough that will bloom in your public vindication. Every moment you felt like giving up but chose to persevere has been adding compound interest to the reward that accumulates in your spiritual bank account. The weariness was not a sign of weakness, but evidence of the supernatural work taking place within your spirit. Like a caterpillar exhausted by the transformation process within the cocoon, you have been undergoing a metamorphosis that requires every ounce of energy you possess. The person emerging from this trial will bear little resemblance to the person who entered it. Your spiritual capacity has been expanded. Your discernment has been sharpened. Your faith has been purified. Your character has been refined. Your purpose has been clarified. You are not just surviving this battle, you are being reborn through it. In 2 hours, the cocoon cracks open, and the butterfly of your true identity emerges with wings so magnificent that your former caterpillar existence will seem like ancient history. The beauty of your transformation will be so obvious that people will struggle to remember why they ever doubted your worth. The power of your flight will be so impressive that former critics will wonder how they ever thought they could contain you with their limitations. The evidence of your metamorphosis will be so undeniable that skeptics will be forced to acknowledge the supernatural nature of your change. Your emergence will not be gradual or subtle, but dramatic and unmistakable. Like a sunrise that banishes darkness instantly, your vindication will illuminate every shadow where lies have been hiding. Like an earthquake that reshapes the landscape permanently, your breakthrough will alter the spiritual geography of every relationship and situation that has been touched by this battle. The before and after of your story will be so dramatic that people will study your journey to understand how the Most High transforms persecution into promotion, betrayal into breakthrough, suffering into supernatural elevation. Type Amen to get blessing 88,888 if you feel the wings of your new identity preparing to unfold in ways that will take your breath away. The DNA testing has been completed in the laboratories of heaven, and the results prove beyond any shadow of doubt that you carry the genetic markers of royalty, the chromosomes of chosen vessels, the hereditary traits of those destined for supernatural elevation. This spiritual paternity test reveals that you are indeed a child of the King, heir to an inheritance that cannot be stolen by earthly enemies or diminished by human jealousy. Your royal bloodline explains why you have never felt comfortable with mediocrity, why you have always sensed a calling to something greater, why you have consistently attracted both fierce loyalty and intense opposition. People recognize nobility even when it is hidden beneath humble circumstances. Your enemies have been attacking royalty without realizing the magnitude of their offense against heaven. They have been speaking against a child of the Most High without understanding the consequences of their words. They have been plotting against an heir to the divine throne without comprehending the level of protection that surrounds those who carry royal DNA. But ignorance does not exempt them from the consequences of their actions. In exactly 2 hours, the divine genealogy that proves your royal heritage is presented as evidence in the court of heaven. The angels gasp as they realize the true identity of the one who has been under attack. The accuser himself is silenced by the documentation that reveals your spiritual bloodline. The entire heavenly court rises in acknowledgement of your true position in the kingdom hierarchy. This royal revelation triggers immediate action from the throne room. Orders are dispatched to the warrior angels to provide the level of protection befitting your true status. Resources are released from the treasury of heaven to supply the abundance appropriate for your royal calling. Opportunities are opened that reflect your actual position in the divine succession plan, rather than the limited circumstances that have been your temporary experience. Your coronation has been postponed by the interference of enemies who had no authority to delay your royal appointment. But their season of influence is ending, and your season of reign is beginning with ceremonial fanfare that will echo through both earthly and heavenly realms. The crown that has been waiting in the royal treasury bears your name and your spiritual measurements. It was crafted specifically for your head, designed exclusively for your calling, prepared particularly for this moment when heaven publicly acknowledges your true identity. Type Amen to get blessing 99,999 if you feel the weight of divine royalty settling upon your shoulders, even as these words penetrate your spirit. The geographical location where you currently reside has been marked on the maps of heaven as a place where divine justice will be demonstrated with such power that it becomes a landmark of supernatural intervention. People will remember this place not for what happened to you here, but for what the Most High did for you here. The very streets where you walked in humiliation will become the pathways of your triumph. The buildings where you endured rejection will become witnesses to your acceptance. The rooms where you cried in private will become chambers where you celebrate in public. This location is about to be transformed from a place of pain into a monument of divine faithfulness. The enemy chose this ground as the battlefield for your destruction, but the Father is converting it into the theater for your vindication. Every tear that fell on this soil has been sanctifying it for the supernatural manifestation that approaches. Every prayer you whispered within these walls has been creating an atmosphere of expectation that now draws divine intervention like a lightning rod attracts electricity. In 2 hours, the spiritual climate over this entire area shifts from oppression to liberation, from darkness to light, from defeat to victory. The same neighbors who witnessed your persecution will observe your vindication. The same colleagues who participated in your humiliation will attend your celebration. The same family members who question your sanity will acknowledge your discernment. The same friends who abandoned your friendship will request your forgiveness. But this reversal will not happen because you sought revenge or orchestrated comebacks. It will unfold because divine justice operates according to supernatural laws that require the balancing of scales, the correction of injustice, the restoration of truth. Your role remains the same as it has been throughout this trial: to maintain your integrity, to guard your heart, to trust the process, to wait for divine timing. The vindication approaching your life will be so obviously supernatural that no one will be able to credit human effort or earthly strategy. The fingerprints of heaven will be so obvious on your breakthrough that even atheists will struggle to explain what they witness through natural means. Your story will become a modern-day testimony to the reality that the Most High still intervenes in human affairs when His chosen ones are under attack. Type Amen to get blessing 111,111 if you sense the supernatural intervention descending upon your geographical location right now. The prophetic words spoken over your life by those who walk in authentic spiritual authority have been creating a legal foundation in heaven for the manifestation now approaching your circumstances. Every declaration of blessing pronounced by genuine men and women of the Most High has been building a case for your supernatural elevation. Every promise spoken in faith by those who discerned your true calling has been accumulating interest in the spiritual realm, waiting for the appointed time of release. These prophetic deposits have been earning compound returns while you walk through the valley of opposition. The persecution you endured has not diminished the power of these spoken blessings, but has actually increased their potency. Like seeds planted in good soil and watered by tears of intercession, these prophetic words have been growing roots in the heavenly realm while their manifestation was delayed by earthly interference. But the season of delay is ending, and the time of fulfillment is beginning with dramatic force that will leave no doubt about the accuracy of what was spoken over your destiny. In 2 hours, these prophetic words begin their manifestation sequence with precision that demonstrates the mathematical accuracy of divine timing. What was spoken in faith will be seen in fact. What was declared in hope will be demonstrated in reality. What was pronounced in trust will be proved in testimony. The people who spoke these words over your life will witness their fulfillment and be amazed at the accuracy of what they were given to declare. Those who doubted these prophetic utterances will be silenced by the undeniable evidence of their supernatural fulfillment. The skeptics who dismiss these spiritual predictions will be confronted with manifestations they cannot explain through natural reasoning. Your vindication becomes proof that authentic prophecy still operates in this generation. Your breakthrough becomes evidence that the Most High still speaks through human vessels who have been purified by divine fire. Your elevation becomes a testament that prophetic words spoken in genuine spiritual authority carry supernatural power to create the realities they describe. The enemies who mock these prophetic declarations will discover that they have been fighting against the very words of the Creator. Their opposition will be revealed as resistance to divine will. Their persecution will be exposed as rebellion against heavenly decree. Their attacks will be understood as warfare against the plans and purposes of eternity. Type Amen to get blessing 222,222 if you feel the prophetic words over your life beginning to vibrate with the frequency of manifestation. The bloodline curses that your enemies thought they could use against your family will be reversed and redirected toward those who pronounce them with malicious intent. Every hex spoken over your household will return to its source with multiplied force. Every curse pronounced against your prosperity will boomerang back to those who launched it with supernatural accuracy. Every evil wish directed toward your health will find its way back to the heart that conceived it with divine justice. This is not you seeking revenge, but heaven executing the law of spiritual cause and effect that governs the universe. Those who bless the chosen ones receive blessings in return. Those who curse the anointed ones receive curses as consequence. This is not personal vengeance, but universal principle. Not human retaliation, but divine regulation. Not emotional reaction, but eternal law. Your enemies activated this spiritual law through their own words and actions. You did not create the consequences they will experience, but they authored their own judgment through their choices to oppose what heaven has blessed. The protection around your bloodline will become so obvious that future generations will tell stories about the supernatural intervention that broke every chain of generational bondage in exactly 2 hours from this moment. Your children will grow up free from the spiritual debt that previous generations accumulated through compromise and covenant breaking. Your descendants will inherit blessing instead of burden, favor instead of failure, breakthrough instead of breakdown. The generational wealth transfer begins with the spiritual inheritance being restored to your family line. What was stolen from your ancestors through deception will be returned to their descendants through divine justice. What was lost through betrayal will be recovered through supernatural intervention. What was forfeited through fear will be reclaimed through faith. Your breakthrough becomes the key that unlocks prosperity for your entire family tree, both those who came before and those who will come after. The heritage of triumph replaces the history of trauma. The legacy of victory overcomes the pattern of defeat. The inheritance of abundance cancels the experience of lack. Type Amen to get blessing 333,333 if you feel the generational chains breaking off your family bloodline right now. The secret recordings they made of private conversations with you, the hidden cameras they placed to document your responses under pressure, the careful notes they took of your words during vulnerable moments, all of this surveillance has been turned against them by divine intelligence that has been watching the watchers. Every piece of evidence they collected to use against you has become proof of your character under fire. Every recording they made to expose your weaknesses has instead revealed your strength under pressure. Every documentation they created to build a case against you has instead constructed a testimony of your integrity in impossible circumstances. Their own surveillance has become the foundation of your vindication. The very evidence they thought would destroy you has become the proof that exonerates you completely. Their meticulous documentation of your words and actions during this trial reads like a manual on how to maintain divine character while under satanic attack. In 2 hours, this evidence is presented in the court of public opinion with such overwhelming power that your accusers are left speechless and your defenders are left breathless. The narrative they tried to create about your character collapses under the weight of their own evidence. The story they attempted to tell about your motives is contradicted by their own recordings. The case they built against your integrity is demolished by their own documentation. Your responses under pressure prove your authentic nature. Your words during attack demonstrate your genuine heart. Your actions during betrayal reveal your true character. Even your enemies will be forced to admit that their surveillance has only confirmed what your supporters always knew. That you are exactly who you claim to be. That your heart is exactly as pure as it appeared. That your motives are exactly as clean as they seemed. This vindication through their own evidence will be so complete, so undeniable, so overwhelming that it shifts the entire narrative permanently in your favor. People will wonder how they ever believed the lies when the truth was always so obvious. They will question their own judgment in accepting accusations that were contradicted by all available evidence. They will examine their own hearts to understand how they allowed prejudice to cloud their perception of reality. Type Amen to get blessing 444,444 if you feel the truth beginning to emerge from the darkness where it has been hidden by their deception. The financial institutions that denied you credit based on information provided by your enemies will suddenly discover errors in their assessment. The employment opportunities that were withdrawn due to false references will mysteriously become available again. The housing applications that were rejected because of manufactured complaints will be reconsidered with approval. The business partnerships that were dissolved due to planted doubts will be restored with increased terms. This systematic reversal of blocked blessings will happen so quickly and so obviously that even secular observers will struggle to explain the sudden shift through natural reasoning. In exactly 2 hours, the first phone call comes through that begins this supernatural restoration process. You may not immediately recognize it as the beginning of divine intervention, but your spirit will know that something significant has shifted in your favor. The voice on the other end of the line will carry an apologetic tone, an urgent quality, a nervous energy that suggests they have received information that changes everything they thought they knew about your situation. This call will be followed by others in rapid succession, each one bringing news of another door opening, another opportunity returning, another blessing being released from the spiritual holding pattern where it has been waiting for divine timing. The conspiracy that blocked your progress will unravel with the same systematic precision it used to operate, but in reverse. Each person who participated in your sabotage will find themselves compelled by supernatural conviction to make restitution for their role in your persecution. The financial recovery will be so dramatic, so rapid, so complete, that it becomes impossible to deny the supernatural nature of your restoration. Your bank account will reflect the compound interest that accumulates when divine justice requires 7-fold restitution for theft. Your investment portfolio will begin growing at rates that make financial advisors scratch their heads in confusion. Your business ventures will explode with success that cannot be explained through market analysis or strategic planning. The wealth building will happen so fast that you will barely have time to process the magnitude of the shift before the next wave of increase arrives. Type Amen to get blessing 555. 555 if you feel the financial floodgates beginning to open over your circumstances. The spiritual warfare that has been raging in the unseen realm around your life is about to become visible to natural eyes as the evidence of divine intervention manifests in ways that cannot be hidden or explained away. Your enemies will begin experiencing supernatural interference with their plans that leaves them confused and increasingly desperate. Their technology will malfunction at crucial moments. Their timing will be disrupted by unexpected delays. Their communications will be intercepted by forces they cannot identify or control. What they experience as unexplained problems will actually be the manifestation of angelic intervention on your behalf. The warrior angels assigned to your case have been given permission to shift from passive protection to active interference with enemy operations. The spiritual warfare you have been fighting with prayer and faith is about to be reinforced by supernatural military action that operates according to rules of engagement they never knew existed. In 2 hours, their next planned attack against you encounters resistance they never anticipated. The meeting they scheduled to finalize your destruction will be interrupted by circumstances beyond their control. The document they prepared to seal your fate will disappear from their files without explanation. The witnesses they recruited to testify against your character will suddenly become unavailable or change their testimony completely. This is not coincidence, but divine intervention. This is not luck, but supernatural strategy. This is not chance, but heavenly coordination operating with precision that demonstrates the involvement of infinite intelligence in the details of your vindication. Your enemies will begin to feel like they are fighting against invisible forces, struggling against resistance they cannot see, battling opposition they cannot understand. Their confidence will erode as their plans consistently fail for reasons that make no logical sense. Their arrogance will transform into anxiety as they realize they are not in control of the narrative anymore. The hunters will become the hunted in a supernatural reversal that demonstrates the futility of fighting against those who are protected by divine covenant. Their weapons will misfire, their strategies will backfire, their attacks will expire before reaching their intended target. Type Amen to get blessing 666,666 if you feel the invisible army of heaven mobilizing for warfare on your behalf. The inheritance documents that have been sealed in the archives of heaven since before you were born are about to be opened and their contents released into your natural circumstances with power that reshapes your entire life trajectory. This spiritual inheritance includes not just financial provision, but supernatural authority, divine favor, prophetic insight, healing virtue, miracle-working faith, and access to realms of blessing that most people never imagine exist. Your persecution has been the qualification process for receiving this inheritance. Every attack you survived proved your worthiness to handle divine power. Every betrayal you forgave demonstrated your maturity to steward supernatural authority. Every injustice you endured with integrity showed your readiness to represent heaven on earth. The enemies who attacked you were unknowingly serving as your spiritual trainers, your character developers, your faith strengtheners. They have been pushing you to develop the spiritual muscles necessary to carry the weight of divine glory without being corrupted by its power. In 2 hours, the seal on your inheritance documents is broken and the transfer process begins with immediate effect. The first installment of your spiritual inheritance manifests as supernatural wisdom that gives you insight into situations, people, and opportunities that were previously beyond your understanding. You begin to see patterns that others miss, to discern motives that others cannot perceive, to recognize divine timing that others misinterpret as coincidence. This prophetic insight becomes your competitive advantage in every area of life. The second installment arrives as divine favor that opens doors no human could unlock, creates opportunities no earthly effort could manufacture, builds bridges no natural networking could construct. People find themselves drawn to help you for reasons they cannot explain. Resources become available to you through channels you never knew existed. Solutions appear for problems you thought were unsolvable. The third installment manifests as miracle-working faith that begins to operate through your words, your prayers, your presence. Sick people recover when you speak healing over them. Broken relationships are restored when you declare reconciliation. Financial lack is eliminated when you pronounce provision. You become a walking demonstration of divine power that convinces skeptics and encourages believers. Type Amen to get blessing 777777 if you feel the spiritual inheritance beginning to activate within your consciousness. Now hear this final revelation that I release to you as the capstone of this prophetic transmission. The moment you type Amen to get blessing 888,888, you activate a supernatural chain reaction that will be felt simultaneously in heaven, on earth, and in the dark realm where your enemies have been plotting their next move. Your simple act of faith becomes the key that unlocks every door they tried to seal, the password that accesses every account they tried to freeze, the code that deactivates every weapon they tried to program for your destruction. In exactly 1 hour and 57 minutes from this moment, their next secret meeting will be interrupted by a phone call that changes everything. The person on the other end of that call will have information that proves your innocence so completely that they will have no choice but to abandon their assault and scramble to save themselves from the consequences of their false accusations. This information will come from a source they trusted, from someone within their own circle, from a person they never suspected of having a conscience. But the Most High has been working on hearts in ways they never detected, building conviction in souls they thought were completely aligned with their agenda, preparing witnesses they assumed would never testify on your behalf. The betrayer in their midst will be motivated not by money or manipulation, but by supernatural conviction that makes it impossible for them to continue participating in injustice. Their testimony will be so detailed, so accurate, so damaging to your enemy's credibility that it will unravel their entire network of deception in a matter of hours. This divine informant will provide documentation they never knew existed, recordings they thought were deleted, evidence they believed was destroyed. The case they built against you will collapse so dramatically that investigators will begin building cases against them. Your vindication and their conviction will happen simultaneously through the same evidence, provided by the same source, processed by the same system of justice they thought they controlled. The supernatural timing of this revelation will be so precise, so obviously coordinated by intelligence beyond human capability, that even the most skeptical observers will struggle to deny the involvement of divine intervention in your circumstances. Type Amen to get blessing 888,888 now, and watch as heaven responds to your declaration of faith with manifestations that will leave you breathless with gratitude and your enemies speechless with shock. The 2-hour countdown to your complete vindication begins the moment your fingers touch those keys. Every second that passes brings you closer to the total reversal of your circumstances and the absolute exposure of their lies. Your breakthrough is not coming. Your breakthrough is here. Your vindication is not approaching. Your vindication has arrived. Your elevation is not in the future. Your elevation is now. I am Archangel Michael, and I have spoken the word of the Lord over your destiny. Let every enemy of your soul tremble at the sound of heaven's justice rolling like thunder across the spiritual atmosphere of your life. Let every scheme of darkness crumble under the weight of divine truth that cannot be suppressed any longer. Let every chain of oppression break off your purpose as the supernatural hammer of heaven's blacksmith shatters every limitation they tried to forge around your calling. You are not just surviving this battle. You are not simply enduring this trial. You are not merely getting through this season. You are conquering every enemy, overcoming every obstacle, defeating every demon that dared to challenge the plans and purposes that the Creator established for your life before the foundation of the world. Type Amen to get blessing 999,999. If you receive this prophetic word as the final decree over your situation and watch as the Most High turns your mourning into dancing, your weeping into laughter, your persecution into promotion, and your pain into supernatural power that will serve His kingdom for the rest of your days on this earth. The victory is yours. The vindication is complete. The elevation is permanent. And the glory belongs to the one who fights for those who cannot fight for themselves. Amen and amen.